Heartwarming moment. Grandma clutches waitress's hand. Discover the life-changing secret of a 30-year-old waitress on a chilly Tuesday morning at the hearth. The sun streamed through the big front windows, painting the diner in a cozy glow. Emily, a devoted 32-year-old waitress, busied herself at the counter, balancing coffee refills and plates of pie with the grace earned from years of practice. Behind her cheerful smile, she juggled the trials of motherhood and the relentless financial strain of raising her 2 kids. This diner wasn't just her job, it was her second home, where regulars like Grandma Martha brought warmth that sometimes made the weight of her dreams feel a little lighter. Today, however, felt unusual. The bell above the door jingled, and the familiar figure of Grandma Martha waddled in, her smile brightening the room. "Just the usual, dear," she called, her voice warm like a hug. Emily served her the black coffee and blueberry pancakes she always ordered, but today, Martha's hand reached across the counter, trembling slightly as it clasped Emily's. "There's something you need to know," she whispered, her eyes suddenly serious. The bustling diner faded around them as Martha leaned in closer. "You see, there was a time in my life when I felt just as lost. The war took so much from me, but it also showed me the strength I didn't know I had." Her voice dropped lower, urgency and sincerity mixing in each word. Emily's heart raced, feeling a strange connection to this woman. What could be so important? Martha shared how she had faced judgments as a young woman in a world dominated by men, her dreams overshadowed by war and loss. "But I kept pushing forward. I didn't let anyone define my worth," she continued, her grip tightening on Emily's hand. Hope flickered within Emily, igniting a small fire in her chest. Suddenly, the diner's cheerful atmosphere felt suffocating. Pairs of eyes turned toward Emily, murmurs filling the air as patrons cast judgmental glances. "They're just a waitress," one whispered, and Emily's heart sank. The whispers, often subtle yet sharp, were daggers that reminded her of her humble beginnings, the shadows of doubt and the weight of expectations heavy on her shoulders. Just as she felt the weight of despair creeping in, a familiar sound broke through. A local fundraiser was announced, a cherished event where the community united, showcasing their talents. Emily wanted nothing more than to participate, to let her culinary skills shine, but the doubts loomed larger than her dreams. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the fundraiser approached, Emily stood at a crossroads. The thought of prioritizing her children's needs over her own ambitions knotted her stomach. How could she chase her dreams without risking everything? But just then, driven by her thoughts of Martha's courage, a wave of determination surged through her. The townsfolk's whispers morphed into something else, a buzz of support, as they rallied behind her. It wasn't just an act of charity, it was a powerful movement of community spirit. Yet, when the weight of that hope settled on her shoulders, she knew the shadows of doubt still lingered. Would she rise to meet the challenges that haunted her, not just for herself but for her children? The evening of the fundraiser loomed close, a beacon of transformation flickering just out of reach. Would she dare to step into the light? Emily glanced out the front window, watching the leaves whirl in the chilly breeze, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to the swirling feelings in her heart. Each autumn leaf seemed to fall with a purpose, reminding her that change was both beautiful and necessary. With her apron tied snugly around her waist, she took a deep breath and reminded herself of Martha's words. She had to push forward, even if the path ahead felt daunting. As her shift wound down, she busied herself, wiping down tables with a sharper focus. The laughter and chatter in the diner enveloped her like a warm blanket, yet the anticipation of the fundraiser nagged at her thoughts. She stuffed her fears into the back of her mind and turned to serve a new table, trying to shake off the lingering doubts. At the end of the day, Emily found herself at home, the familiar chaos of her two kids fighting over toys filling the small space with life. She watched them, their laughter pealing through the air, filling her with a bittersweet joy. Their innocence sparked a longing within her, the longing to be a role model, to teach them that chasing dreams was worth the risk. "Mom, can we have spaghetti again?" her son squeaked, his eyes wide and hopeful. "Sure, sweetie," she replied with a smile, her heart aching just a little. As she gathered ingredients from the pantry, she thought of the upcoming fundraiser. What would she cook? This wasn't just about serving food, it was a chance to showcase her passion. Later that night, as her kids drifted off to sleep, Emily sat at the kitchen table, a blank notepad propped before her. She wrote down recipes that had been passed down through her family. Each page filled brought back memories of cooking with her mother, laughter spilling across the kitchen as they measured flour and spun stories like sugar. But as the clock ticked closer to midnight, anxiety pushed forward, and her pen slowed. Flashbacks of judgmental whispers tumbled through her mind, mingling with reminders of the burdens she carried. What if no one wanted to taste her food? What if they saw her as just a waitress? The fears wrapped around her like a vice. Suddenly, her phone buzzed, lighting up the darkened kitchen. It was a text from Martha, a simple message that read, "Remember, dear, you have a gift. Share it. Don't let fear hold you back." A swell of warmth flooded through Emily. If Martha could overcome so much, then surely she could break free from her own chains. And the days leading up to the fundraiser, Emily found herself practicing in the kitchen. Flour dust danced in the air as she rolled out dough, her heart both racing and calming with the rhythm of her movements. Each dish she crafted felt like a step closer to realizing her potential. The evening of the fundraiser arrived, a crisp breeze whirling about the downtown square, illuminated by twinkling fairy lights. As she approached the bustling event, her heart hammered in her chest, the crowd a swirling sea of familiar faces and strangers alike. The aroma of food wafted through the air, each scent beckoning to her soul. With the crowd's energy pulsing around her, Emily took one last deep breath before stepping forward. She set up her table, placing her creations on display, each plate a piece of her heart, but as she glanced around, she noticed the judging looks, the whispered comments flitting like butterflies throughout the evening. Would she be strong enough to withstand the storm? Just as her doubt crept in, she caught a glimpse of familiar faces. Her children stood by her side, eyes shining with pride. They believed in her, even when she struggled to believe in herself. For them, she needed to succeed. In that moment, a realization struck her like lightning. Could this be her turning point? Would she rise above the whispers and finally embrace the power of her dreams? Emily felt a rush of warmth wash over her as she looked into her children's eager eyes. Their faith ignited a fire within her, a spark that whispered she was meant for more. She could almost hear her mother's voice, guiding her through the kitchen, encouraging creativity and passion with every dish. Taking a deep breath, she straightened her back and put on a confident smile. If she was going to showcase her recipes, she would do so with the heart and love that molded each dish. The whispers and judging looks faded into the background like a distant hum. Before she knew it, people began to approach her table. Curious faces illuminated by the gentle glow of the lights were drawn in by the appetizing aroma of her homemade sauces. A woman with silver hair and sparkling blue eyes stepped closer, her hands clasped together. "Is this your cooking?" she asked, her voice warm and comforting. "Yes, ma'am," Emily replied, her hands unconsciously fidgeting with the edges of her apron. "I made everything from family recipes." The woman smiled. "It smells heavenly. I'm here to support the cause, but I cherish good food just as dearly." She picked up a plate of pasta, the rich red sauce glimmering under the lights, and took a bite. A slow smile spread across her face, relatable joy radiating from her. "Tastes just like my grandmother's," the woman exclaimed. "Oh, you must let me have the recipe." Emily's heart swelled. This was it, this was what she had dreamed of. Sharing her family's recipes, evoking memories and flavors that connected people. Suddenly, the fear melted away, leaving only excitement. As the crowd grew, so did her confidence. One by one, people came to sample her dishes, each taste eliciting smiles and appreciation. Emily found herself laughing, sharing stories about her mom, her kids, and the inspiration behind her dishes. With each passing minute, she felt the overwhelming weight of doubt lifting off her shoulders, but when a teenager flitted by, pausing just long enough to scoff at her homemade gnocchi, Emily's heart sank. The laughter and warmth faded for a moment, replaced by a deep ache. It reminded her of earlier times when she faced similar criticism. Then, a familiar hand pressed against hers at the table, her grandma, a beacon of support. "Sweetheart, don't let them steal your joy. You are more than their words." The firm squeeze was like a tether, pulling her back into the moment. With a nod, Emily looked again at her creations, every plate filled with memories, love, and hope. She focused on the smiles, the compliments flooding in from those who truly mattered, the ones tasting her mother's recipes and sharing the joy of the occasion. Each clink of forks and exclamations ignited a fierce determination within her. By the end of the night, as Emily packed up her things, she felt different. She had conquered something deep within, discovered strength she didn't know she possessed. But as she turned around to find her children, she noticed a woman standing alone in the shadows, watching her with a critical glare. Something about her demeanor sent a chill down Emily's spine. Who was she? And what was her connection to Emily? Burdened with unresolved questions, Emily gathered her dishes, her excitement mingled with a sense of impending uncertainty. This night was just the beginning. What awaited her next? Emily's heart raced as she stood frozen, staring at the mysterious woman. The shadows danced around her, making her figure seem both ominous and alluring in the dim light of the hall. Who was she? The question spiraled through Emily's mind while she tried to shake off the unease creeping in her chest. Gathering her bags, she glanced over at her children, who were engrossed in conversation with another family nearby, laughter spilling from their lips. Their joy anchored her, but her sight kept drifting back to the woman who watched from afar. The woman's expression was unreadable, but the intensity of her gaze sent ripples of unease through Emily. A thought crossed her mind: what if she was someone from her past, come to unravel the delicate piece she had built? "Mom, can we go get ice cream now?" Jonah's voice broke through her thoughts, and she turned to see his bright eyes twinkling with excitement. "Sure, honey. Just let me finish up here." She nodded, her voice steady despite the roiling emotions inside. As she continued packing, the weight of uncertainty loomed larger. She tried to ignore the woman, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being observed. With her last dish wrapped in the box, Emily took one final look at the table, filled with empty plates, and traces of her heart poured into every bite. Confidence washed over her again, but it was tinged with concern. "Mom, the ice cream truck is right there," her daughter, Lily, exclaimed, her little finger pointing eagerly towards the cheerful painted vehicle that had arrived outside. Okay. Let us go," Emily replied, wanting to match their enthusiasm despite her fluttering heart. As they stepped outside, the warm summer night surrounded them. The laughter of children mingled with the tinkling of the ice cream truck's jingle, almost drowning out her troubles. But as they approached the vendor, Emily couldn't quell the nagging worry. She placed their orders, but her thoughts remained clouded. Jonah and Lily hopped from foot to foot, thrilled as they received their cones, but Emily's smile felt strained. She kept glancing back at the hall, her instincts screaming for her to find out more. Suddenly, the woman from earlier stepped out of the hall and walked toward her. Emily's heart quickened, fear and curiosity pooling in her stomach. As the woman approached, the world around them faded. "Emily," she said, her voice firm yet gentle. "We need to talk." Panic surged through Emily. Who was this woman to demand a conversation? "Excuse me?" "My name is Clara," she said, and Emily felt the weight of the name land heavily upon her. "I have something important to share about your family and your recipes." The ground beneath her felt like it might give way. Emily's breath hitched, and before she could muster a response, Clara continued, I'm connected to your mother in ways you don't understand. But you deserve to know the truth. With that, Emily stood at a crossroads facing either a moment of revelation or a plunge deeper into mystery. What could this woman reveal about her family? Would it shatter everything she had built? "Mom, are you coming?" Jonah called, eyes wide with confusion. Emily's gaze flicked between her children, her family, and Clara, feeling the weight of the moment. What was the truth? And was she ready for it? The tension coiled around her, tightening with each passing heartbeat. "Okay, what do you mean?" she finally asked, her voice trembling with anticipation. Clara's eyes softened. "Let us find somewhere we can talk, where it's just you and me." Emily hesitated, but the pull of curiosity was too strong. She moved forward, uncertainty hanging in the balance alongside a flicker of hope. What secrets awaited her, and how would they change everything she thought she knew? Emily followed Clara, her feet moving almost on their own accord. She felt a mixture of dread and curiosity, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. The world around them faded away, replaced by a heavy silence as they walked to a secluded corner of the park nearby. "Why now?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why didn't you come sooner?" Clara paused, her expression somber. "Because I didn't know where to find you. Your mother, she kept things hidden, even from me." Emily's mind spun. There was so much she didn't understand. "You knew my mother?" She could hardly wrap her head around the idea. The only thing she knew about her mother's past was what her mother chose to share, which had always felt like just the surface. Clara nodded. "We were close once, like sisters." She had her reasons for leaving everything behind. "But the legacy she left you, it's deeper than recipes and family traditions." "Legacy?" Emily echoed, her confusion deepening. She thought of the years spent trying to preserve family recipes, to create memories with her children around the dinner table. What could be deeper than that? Clara inhaled slowly, her gaze unwavering. "Your mother carried secrets. Secrets about your family that could change how you see everything. And it's time for you to know those truths." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. The shadows from earlier returned, filling her mind with whispers of what might be hidden beneath the surface. But beneath the fear, something else stirred, a flicker of excitement. What if this really was a moment of revelation that could fill the empty spaces in her heart? "Okay," Emily said, firming her resolve. "What do I need to know?" "Not now," Clara said, glancing over her shoulder as if checking for someone. "Not here. I'm taking a risk by even telling you this. You and your children aren't safe if this information gets out." The urgency in Clara's voice sent a shockwave through Emily. What could possibly be so dangerous? "Why?" Emily pressed, a rush of questions flooding her mind. "What do you mean? Who could be a threat?" Clara took a step closer, lowering her voice. "Let us start with the first thing, your fame as a cook isn't just because of your talent. It's your lineage. Your recipes, they have power." "Power?" Emily faltered, the strange word echoing ominously. "What do you mean by power?" "Power to connect, to heal, to reveal truths. They were your mother's way of protecting you. Keeping you away from the shadows of our past." Emily felt her pulse quicken. The birth of her passion for cooking had always felt like a gift, but now, it seemed laden with expectations she never understood. As she opened her mouth to respond, a sudden sound caught her attention. Laughter, bright and carefree. Jonah and Lily were playing, blissfully unaware of the weighty conversations spiraling around their mother. Clara placed a hand on Emily's arm, grounding her. "Tonight, it's not just about family recipes. It's about why you're drawn to them. If your mother's past is uncovered, it might bring more than you bargained for." Emily's heart pounded. She scanned the park, the flickering lights of the ice cream truck a familiar beacon in this moment of uncertainty. "Can you promise me, Clara? Promise that you'll tell me everything?" I deserve to know, Emily whispered, her voice trembling but determined. Clara studied her for a tense moment, and finally nodded slowly. I promise, but it will take time. Time to prepare you for what you might find. Looking out into the horizon, Emily felt the thread of fate pull her deeper into the mystery of her family. She stepped back, glancing at her children again, her decision looming large over her heart. I can't believe what all this could mean. I need to protect my family. Clara nodded again. Yes, and you'll need to be ready for the fallout. There are things that could alter your life, Emily, things you might lose and things you might gain. As Clara turned to leave, Emily called out, when will we meet again? Soon, Clara replied, disappearing into the night. With her heart racing and her mind swirling, Emily stood alone, grappling with the burden of what she had just learned. What truths awaited her return to the past? Would she be able to face them? And as she gathered her children in her arms, the weight of the secret loomed over her like a storm cloud. Would she be ready to embrace the storm? Emily took a deep breath, pulling herself together as she watched Jonah and Lily dart around the park, laughter spilling from their lips like sunlight. She was grateful for their innocent joy, a sharp contrast to the tumult churning inside her. The weight of Clara's words clung to her as if they had an actual form, pressing against her chest. Mommy, come play. Jonah shouted, his bright eyes sparking with mischief. Yeah. We found a really cool tree. Lily added, bouncing on her heels. Emily forced a smile and joined in their games, but her heart was elsewhere. Every swing of her limbs felt mechanical, each laugh she shared with her children a hollow echo. She was caught in two worlds, the warm laughter of her kids and the chilling shadows of her mother's hidden past. Just a minute, sweethearts, she called, her voice strained. Let me catch my breath. She stepped aside, needing a moment to gather her thoughts. The park was beginning to empty, leaving the echoes of chatter, giggles, and footsteps behind. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow across the grass. Emily forced herself to center on the beauty around her. Perhaps a moment of quiet would help. As she leaned against a tree, her gaze fell back towards her children, who were now climbing a gnarled old trunk. The bark was rough against her back, a stark reminder of real things, tangible. But for Emily, no amount of physical grounding could stop the wild thoughts racing through her mind. What sort of legacy was Clara talking about? What secrets? Mommy. Lily called, her tiny voice breaking into Emily's reverie. Look at me. Emily watched her daughter as she climbed higher, her small hands gripping the rough bark with determination. That little girl, braving the world one climb at a time, unknowingly faced her own set of challenges. What if the secrets Clara hinted at could, like those branches, give strength to her family's roots? But at what cost? Lily, be careful. Emily shouted, her heart racing as she saw her daughter balance precariously on a high branch. Jonah scrambled closer, his instinct to protect his sister kicking in. You got this, Lily. He cheered, but the worry etched on his face was palpable. Emily moved closer, anxiety creeping over her. At that moment, she was reminded of her own safety as a child, how her mother had kept her in a bubble even when the world outside felt dangerous. Just like Lily now, she felt torn, wanting to protect them but also knowing that sheltering from every storm could leave them unprepared for life's real tests. With a deep breath, she steadied herself, watching her daughter assert her independence. Emily had to face the truth of her own life. Her mother's decisions had been driven by love, but they might have also bred uncertainty and fear. Once Lily descended safely, Emily gathered them both into her arms. I love you guys, she whispered, needing to hold on to them as tightly as she could. The warmth of her children threatened to chase away the shadows creeping in. But her moments in the park were abruptly interrupted. Emily's phone buzzed in her pocket, breaking the tender exchange. The name flashing on the screen was unknown but felt heavy with significance. As she swiped to answer, her heart raced with a mix of hope and fear. Hello? She said, stepping away from the kids, her mind already racing with possibilities. What if this was the call that changed everything? Is this Emily? A deep voice on the other end sent a chill down her spine. Yes, who is this? It's time you learned about your mother, the voice said, the words laced with urgency. Emily's throat tightened, and her grip tightened on the phone. Everything around her seemed to freeze. What do you mean? Meet me. We have a lot to discuss. A shiver of anticipation and dread coursed through her. This was the moment she'd been waiting for, the moment that could finally unravel the secrets of her past, but at what risk to her family. As she hung up the phone, Emily turned back to Jonah and Lily, who were now chasing each other around the tree again, playing happily. In that moment, she realized that whatever was coming, she would need their light to navigate the darkness ahead. Okay, kids, she said, gathering her thoughts. We need to talk when we get home. But deep down, she knew this conversation would reach beyond family recipes and traditions. It could shatter their lives, or, maybe, it could rebuild them on truths long buried. With a determined heart, she took a step toward her children. But part of her had already taken that step into the unknown. What would she learn about her mother's legacy, and how would it reshape their lives together? Emily's heart raced as they made their way home. Jonah and Lily chattered about their fun in the park, their voices a melody of carefree joy. Each word their little mouths formed was like a soothing balm to her frayed nerves, but the reality of what lay ahead gnawed at her insides. She glanced at her kids, their faces lit with enthusiasm, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in her heart. The house loomed ahead, a familiar structure filled with warm memories but now painted with the shadows of uncertainty. As she opened the door, a wave of nostalgia washed over her. This place had always felt like a safe haven, but she wasn't sure if she could shield her family from the truths looming outside. "Let us make some cookies," she suggested, hoping a sweet distraction could ease the tension. "Chocolate chip!" Jonah exclaimed, running to the kitchen. "Don't forget the sprinkles," Lily added, skipping after him, her ponytail bobbing with each step. As Emily gathered ingredients, she felt like she was playing a part in a well-rehearsed scene. She mixed flour, sugar, and chocolate chips, but her mind wandered back to the voice on the phone and the weight of their mother's unspoken history. The more she thought about it, the more she yearned for answers. Once the cookies were in the oven, the warm smell filled the kitchen, but an uneasy knot formed in her stomach. Jonah and Lily danced around, giggling. Their innocent happiness felt like a stark contrast to the heaviness inside her. "Mommy, can we help decorate?" Jonah asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Absolutely. Let's get creative," Emily replied, forcing her voice to be light as she grabbed a bowl of colorful sprinkles. They spread frosting on the cooling cookies, each swirl of color helping to ease the tension that had been mounting. But no matter how sweet the moment was, the reality of her upcoming meeting lingered in the air like the scent of fresh-baked cookies. "Are you okay, Mommy?" Lily asked, pausing to look at her mother, her small brow furrowed with concern. Emily knelt to meet her daughter's gaze. "I'm just thinking about something important, honey. But I promise it will be okay." Lily nodded, but Emily could see the worry bubbling beneath the surface. "Can we eat cookie dough?" Jonah chimed in, trying to lighten the mood. The sight of their eager faces pulled a laugh from Emily's lips. "Of course you can, just a little." After they indulged in the sweet treat, the kitchen felt like a warm, cozy nest. But Emily knew that the calm wouldn't last. Time ticked by, and soon the sun dipped below the horizon, casting their home in shadow. She glanced at the clock. It was nearly time. Her heart pounded with a mix of dread and determination. This unknown voice had opened a door to her mother's past, one she couldn't ignore any longer. "Kids," she said softly, "why don't you pick a movie to watch while I grab something from my room?" "What are you going to get?" Lily asked, her curiosity bubbling. Emily hesitated. "Just some things I need." Once in her room, she took a moment to breathe deeply. She glanced at her reflection in the mirror, a face tired yet resolute. Clara's shadow felt larger than ever, and the weight of her decisions loomed heavily in the air. She picked up her phone, staring at the blank screen, imagining what would happen if she dialed the unknown number again. But no, there had to be strength in stepping forward, not retreating. With a sigh, she squared her shoulders and walked back towards her kids. As she entered the living room, Jonah and Lily were tangled up in blankets, their laughter ringing out like music. "Everything all right?" Jonah asked. "Of course." She attempted a bright smile, but even she could sense the cracks in her facade. "Cookies are ready," Emily announced, hoping to cover for her nerves with sugary excitement. But deep within her heart, she knew something significant awaited her soon. She was on the precipice of a revelation about her mother, and with it, the chance to redefine their whole family's story. Suddenly, a loud knock echoed through the house. Emily's heart skipped a beat, and her breath caught in her throat. Who could it be at this time? Before her instincts could catch up, she moved toward the door, the uncertainty of the moment heavy on her shoulders. With every step, questions swirled in her mind. What had her mother been hiding? Was this the moment that would shift everything? As she opened the door, her heart raced. Whatever was waiting on the other side could finally unveil her mother's hidden legacy. And with that thought, fear and hope intertwined in a dizzying dance. The door swung open with a creak that seemed to echo through the stillness of the evening. Emily blinked, eyes widening in disbelief. There stood a woman, her features aged but strikingly familiar, a resemblance so uncanny it sent a shiver down Emily's spine. Long, silvery hair framed a gentle face, her eyes reflecting a mix of warmth and concern. "Hello, Emily," the woman said softly, her voice almost a whisper, as if she feared breaking the sanctity of the moment. Who are you?" Emily stammered, her heart pounding with confusion. "I'm Clara. Your grandmother." The words fell like heavy stones, landing hard in the pit of Emily's stomach. Memories of childhood stories about her grandmother flooded back, intertwined with speculative tales of betrayal and abandonment. She had spent years piecing together her mother's silence about this woman, but now the mysterious figure stood before her, real and alive. "What are you doing here?" Emily's voice wavered, a mix of anger, confusion, and unexpected curiosity. "I know this is a shock," Clara continued, her hands clasped nervously in front of her. "But I wanted to explain, to apologize for everything that happened." Jonah and Lily's laughter faded into the background as they cautiously peered from the living room, their innocent faces not yet tainted by the complexity of adult truths. They sensed the shift in the atmosphere, eyes wide, as if waiting on some kind of revelation. Emily took a step back, eyes narrowing. "You left. You abandoned us." "My mother, she never wanted to talk about you." "I know," Clara sighed, a flicker of pain crossing her face. "And I don't blame you for being angry. You have every right to be. But I had my reasons. I never stopped thinking about her, about you." Empathy struggled against resentment in Emily's heart. How could this woman, standing so close yet feeling galaxies apart, claim to care? Was it even possible to understand the weight of her mother's silence? "What do you want?" Emily pressed, the protective instincts of a mother surfacing fiercely. "Why now?" Clara took a shaky breath, her blue eyes shimmering like ice. "I've finally gathered the courage to share my story, the truth about our family. It's time you heard it." "Mom!" Jonah called, breaking the tension with innocence. "Who's this lady?" Emily shot a look at Clara, and there was a moment where neither knew the answer. Clara seemed to soften, her gaze drawn to the children. I'm your grandmother, sweethearts." For a heartbeat, time stood still. Jonah and Lily exchanged glances that spoke volumes, unable to process the enormity of the situation, both intrigued and cautious. "Can we eat cookies now?" Lily chirped, her stomach growling audibly in the silence, blissfully unaware of the delicate emotions swirling around them. Emily laughed despite herself, the tension inside her breaking just a little. We can definitely celebrate with cookies. But we still need to talk, Grandma. Clara nodded gravely, stepping inside as Emily held the door wider, the threshold a fragile line between the past and the future. As Clara settled on the couch, the living room transformed into a stage, where hidden stories yearned to be unfurled. Emily could feel her pulse race as she joined her children. "Tell me everything." And just as Clara opened her mouth to speak, the doorbell rang again. The sound cut through the air like a siren, jolting the moment and sending a new wave of tension crashing in. Emily's heart raced. More truths awaited, like threads of a tangled web. Who else had come knocking, and what revelation would follow next? The unexpected ringing of the doorbell sent a ripple of anxiety through the room. Emily shot an anxious glance at Clara, who sat poised, her expression a mixture of dread and determination. The tension was palpable, thick enough to cut through. Who could that be? Emily wondered out loud, frustration lacing her voice. "Can't we just have a moment without interruptions?" Jonah and Lily exchanged curious glances, their innocent excitement making the whole scene even more absurd. Emily took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. With Clara's history surfacing, she didn't have the mental space for another surprise. "Stay here," she instructed the kids, who nodded obediently, though she could see the curiosity dancing in their eyes. Emily made her way to the door, her heart pounding. Each step felt heavier than the last, filled with a mix of anticipation and wariness. She opened the door slowly, bracing for the unexpected. Standing at the door was a man, his face weathered yet kind. "Excuse me," he said, clearing his throat nervously. "Is this the Sanders residence?" "I'm looking for who are you?" Emily interrupted, trying to keep her guard up. "I'm sorry to intrude. My name is Thomas. I knew Clara. We were friends many years ago." His eyes flickered past her, catching sight of Clara on the couch. The recognition was instant. "Clara?" he called softly, almost hesitantly. Emily's breath hitched. Could this be another piece of the puzzle? "Thomas." Clara's voice wavered, and she rose from the couch, the color draining from her face. "What are you doing here?" Jonah and Lily peered around Emily, their little faces filled with curiosity. Until now, they seemed unaffected by the familial ghost standing in their living room. Now it was like watching a mystery unravel before their eyes. "Clara, I came as soon as I heard. There's something you need to know about your past," he said, urgency creeping into his tone. The room froze, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Emily exchanged a look with Clara, and suddenly she felt less like the protector and more like the one who needed protecting. "What past?" Emily pressed, her defensive instincts kicking back in. She had enough of secrets. That was the very reason Clara was here. Let's just all sit down," Thomas suggested, holding up his hands as if to calm them. "There's a lot to unpack, and I think it's time Clara shared her story with all of you." Clara sank back onto the couch, her back sinking into the cushions as she grasped the fabric as if it were a lifeline. "I didn't expect to see you again, Thomas. I thought we had buried that part of our lives." "Sometimes, things resurface when you least expect it," he replied gently, his voice steady but filled with a depth of understanding. Emily looked at her grandmother, the weight of her own questions colliding with the urgency in the room. "What are you talking about? What is this all leading to?" Before Clara could answer, Jonah piped up. "Is it more cookies? Are you gonna tell us what Grandma did? I wanna know." Emily couldn't help but chuckle at her son's naive enthusiasm. But Clara's face was serious, the weight of the moment pressing down on her, ready to burst forth like a dam about to break. "Not cookies, sweetie," Clara said softly, wiping a tear that had crept down her cheek. "But maybe, a truth that could change everything." With her heart racing and emotions trembling just below the surface, Emily felt the tension shift again. It was big. It was looming. Whatever Clara had held on to for so long was about to spill over, and nothing would ever be the same again, what had been buried beneath years of silence. Discovering the truth could either mend or further fracture their family. Emily clenched her fists, a deep sense of resolve swirling within her. All right, then. Let us hear it. But just as Clara opened her mouth to speak, the doorbell rang once more, cutting through the air like a lightning bolt. Emily's heart sank. Who else could possibly come at a time like this? The universe seemed intent on complicating matters, and she couldn't help but wonder what awaited them this time. Emily felt the weight of the world settle on her shoulders as she turned to face the door one more time. She had grown weary of interruptions, of the precarious tension that twisted through the room like a frayed wire ready to snap. With a deep, steadying breath, she reined in her emotions, forcing herself to push through yet another storm. Please, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, not again. With trepidation, she opened the door, half hoping for a simple delivery or an innocent neighbor. Instead, it was a familiar face, Oliver, her old friend from the diner. Emily. Sorry to barge in, but I had to tell you something. His words rushed out, the urgency in his voice making her heart race again, tangled in confusion and hope. Oliver, now's not really a good time, she replied, glancing over her shoulder. Clara and Thomas waited, anxiety tightening their expressions, while Jonah and Lily peeked curiously from behind her legs. I know. But it couldn't wait. Your dishes. Everyone in town is talking about your cooking, Emily. It's like a buzz. People are looking for you. They want your food, they want your story. Oliver's eyes glimmered with excitement, his enthusiasm a stark contrast to the heavy air in the room. Emily felt a rush of warmth, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Really? They want me? But then the reality of her family's turbulence crashed back in. Could she embrace this moment of recognition while standing on the precipice of familial revelations? Yes. Oliver continued, oblivious to the chaos bubbling just beneath the surface. And Clara, well, she deserves to be part of this. The community needs to hear your stories, your mother's legacy. Together, you could heal and inspire others. Clara's gaze met Emily's, her expression a mixture of yearning and fear. Emily stepped back, letting the door hang ajar, a moment allowing Oliver's words to settle within her. Was this her chance? Maybe it's the sign we need, Oliver said, his voice steady. A way to honor all the hidden truths and the love that brought you here. Emily's heart thudded in her chest. Could all these stories help breathe life into their fractured family? Was it possible that the unknown burdens they carried could finally turn into something beautiful? I can't just, she stammered. There's too much going on with Clara, with everything we're just beginning to unravel. Exactly. Use it to strengthen your bond. Oliver urged. Share your mom's recipes, incorporate Clara's stories. Release the past while embracing the love that surrounds you. Suddenly, the shadows pulled back just enough for a flicker of clarity. Her heart raced with the glimmer of possibility. Oliver's right, Clara said, her voice trembling. This can be our chance to reclaim what was lost. We can speak our truths in a way that honors love instead of fear. The children, still buzzing with energy, saw the flicker in their mother's eyes. They felt it too. Jonah stepped forward, his small hand reaching up. Can we help? He asked, while Lily chimed in, I want to help bake. Emily knelt to meet their hopeful gazes. It's going to take all of us. It might not be easy, but together? We can do it. As new layers of determination formed within her, it was like the sun breaking through the storm clouds. She turned to Clara, the woman who was part of the tapestry of her life. Let us do this together, she proposed, heart and voice steadier than they had been for a long time. Let us share what we've hidden, let us create anew. Clara nodded, silent tears shimmering in her teal eyes. Thank you, Emily. I'm ready. Fingers intertwined, a silent pact sealed among them all. Together stood a mosaic of family bonds waiting to weave through the community once more. As they stepped back into the room, Emily's heart raced in exhilarating anticipation. The doors still stood open behind them, a literal and symbolic passage to a new beginning. Over the next few weeks, the air would swirl with laughter and culinary magic. Each recipe would carry a story, each dish reflecting both bravery and vulnerability, rich with the flavors of their past. In time, the hearts of everyone would draw together, hands turning dough, laughter rippling through the air as the familiar scents enveloped them all. From a simple act of cooking, deep connections affirmed life itself, stirring the hearts of family and community, and as Emily's heart swelled, she knew they had forged a bridge, binding the tapestry of their past, present, and future, fuller than she had ever imagined possible. So here's the call, friends. Subscribe immediately to the channel. You need to stay tuned for more exclusive stories that will keep your heart racing. Leave a like now. It's time to feed the algorithm and make your voice heard. Comment your reactions and feelings about this epic transformation. We want to hear what you think. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Spread the love and let us grow this community together. Your support means everything.